Hey guys, today I want to talk about books again, and I felt like I haven't read much this month, so March, but actually I have, so let's get started. The first one is the most recent one I read and the one I liked the least, and this is Die dunklen Mauern von Villard State. And actually the original title is What She Left Behind, and this is by Ellen Marie Weisman. So this is a book that tells you two stories. The first storyline follows a young girl called Izzy or Isabel, and she lives in kind of a contemporary time. And her mother shot her father, and since then her mother is in prison and she is left to live with foster parents. And now she is almost 18 and she arrived in a foster family that she really likes, and her foster mom, she asks her to help her out with some research work because she works at a museum. And so this research is based around Villard State, which is a psychiatric kind of estate that now is kind of a ruin, and they want to go and check out a couple of suitcases that they found somewhere in that building which belonged to patients that were there. So she decides to help her foster mom out, even though she's a little bit afraid of it because she doesn't like to think about the insane, because she's afraid that her mom went insane and that someday she will do the same. And still she decides to help her, and there she finds the diary of a girl called Clara. Yeah, Clara or whatever, Cartwright. And she lived in the 1920s, and she was brought to that kind of mental hospital by her parents or her father because she wanted to marry the man that she loved. And actually she wasn't insane, but she was just put away there and no one believed her. And that's kind of the story. So this reads like an in-between of Twilight and the second season of American Horror Story. So you have that kind of girl struggling in her last school year with some bullies and maybe love interest and stuff like that, and on the other hand you get the story of Clara in this mental hospital where she doesn't belong, but she's treated like she's insane and no one's listening to her, and she's suffering and suffering and suffering. So for me, this was just not the right book. I didn't enjoy it at all. I thought the chapters of Clara were just way too depressing because you didn't have any hope. You knew that her story wasn't going anywhere and that there was no solution whatsoever, and that was very depressing. On the other hand, Izzy's story just was a little bit angsty and yeah, just a teenager story, which is just not my cup of tea, and it just wasn't what I expected from this book. And also this book just tried to deal with so many topics but then just didn't really deal with any of them, just throwing them out there, like name dropping different issues that you can have, especially as a young woman in any time but mostly in contemporary life. But yeah, that was just not so well executed. I felt like I would have wished that you get Clara's story told in the way that Izzy explores it, but that's not happening. You just get these two completely different storylines that kind of intertwine in the end, but not really, and you just don't feel the connection. And every chapter you just skip to a completely different story that feels different, that deals with different issues, and yeah, it wasn't like reading one book. So you see, I have a lot to say about this because I wanted to like it, but I did not. So I gave this one 2.5 out of 5 stars. The next book is one of the Miss Murphy cases by Rita Mae Brown and Sneaky Pie Brown. The German title is Virus im Netz, and this is the 4th book. The English title is Pay Dirt or Adventures at Ash Lawn. Now, I did not like the third book too much, but this fourth book really was enjoyable again. I got back a lot of the characters that I missed during the third book, especially Blair, I think his name is, who is kind of a love interest, but kind of not, because actually it's not a love book, you know. And the case was cute but predictable, so it wasn't like, it's not worth the read for the case, but I just like this whole American small town feel that this book has and all the books in this series have. So I will definitely continue with this series because I think they're fun and light reads. They can be a little bit graphic when it comes to, you know, people dying and people being dead, but I feel like they're just lighthearted and they're not like very dark and just dark like the Norwegian thrillers, for example. So I think these are really cute criminal stories, and I will definitely read the next one soon. Then I read Chocolat. I think the English title is the same. Yeah, it is. So this is a book by Joanne Harris. I have read something with oranges, like 5/4 of an orange or something like that. I have read her other book and I really loved that. So when I saw this for free at a kind of like a bookshelf where you can just put books that you don't want anymore, I saw this and I decided that I wanted to take it home and read it, and actually I really enjoyed it. I have loved the movie for many years because that's actually a movie I watched with my mom when I was younger, and so I just wanted to see what the book is like, and I would say that I do like the book for different reasons than I like the movie. So in this book you don't get a love story because the movie is kind of love story-ish, and you can see the picture is from the movie, so you think that there might be love story, but there's actually not. It's a very I would say a feminist book because it's all about women standing up for themselves, strong characters that are still not untouchable. They're very just very pure, and you can totally see a person that would be like that. So I really enjoy that about her writing. That's something I loved about her other book as well. Just the female characters, they feel so true and like they would be a real person. They are strong, but they struggle as well, and I just think that's so fascinating. Also, you have a huge like religion part in this book because the kind of antagonist is a priest in that little village in France where this takes place, because he actually thinks that this new woman in town with her like chocolat shop, that she will lead all his sheep onto a road to hell, basically, because this actually is set around Easter, so it was fun to read it around Easter. And yeah, it's just all about how he thinks that a strong woman character in his community could do a lot of damage, and he wants to just get her out of this community again, but he doesn't know how to do that because more and more people realize that she's great. And yeah, so it's all about that and all about the struggles that she has, also supporting like other people that really need support there but they don't get it from church. So that's just all in all very interesting, and I know I didn't really sum up the book now, but if you feel like reading a book with a very good female character or multiple very good female characters, female friendships, everything like that, I would really suggest you try Chocolat. These two books got 4 stars from me. Next is this book. I got this for my birthday from a friend. The German title is Eine Liebe über dem Meer. English title Letters from Sky, and this is written by Jessica Brockmole, and this is a love story and I loved it. I did not expect to love it that much, but I really did. It's a fantastic story. I really enjoyed it. I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars just because I felt like you know, it didn't change my perspective on the world, which is, you know, 5 stars is just a little bit more than this, but it was just overall so super enjoyable for me. It's a historical fiction romance book. It's about 2 different women, a mother and a daughter, mainly about the mother who lived during the First World War, and she's an author, she's a poet, sorry, and yeah, she writes poems, and one day she receives a letter from kind of a fan, like a fan letter, from the United States. It's a young man from the US writing her how much he adores her poems, and she actually lives on that very, very tiny island, and she's afraid of the water, so she has never left her tiny island there. This might not be the most accurate historical book, because sometimes you're like, I don't know, you know, like a poet living on that small island but still being published all over Britain is a little bit weird, but you know, you just have to look over a few of those facts. But it's just a kind of friendship they have, because they're writing letters back and forth the whole time, and then one day there is the World War, and her husband decides to voluntarily go to the war. And so he leaves her on that small island with all the house and everything that she is left to take care of. And then finally she realizes that she's actually in love with the American, that it's not just a friendship, but there's just much more, and they just, yeah, they feel drawn to each other a lot, and she feels like he understands her, he understands why she writes poetry, which is obviously a little bit weird on this small island where everything is about survival. So in the end, there's a daughter, and she obviously lives during the Second World War, and she's also in love, and her mom kind of tells her not to marry this guy because the war makes you crazy. And you just don't know what happened to this beautiful love story that you get in the early letters, and you just want to know what happened and why they're not together after the First World War, and you're like, oh my god, what happened? And yeah, I thought this was a very nice story. It's completely written in letters, so you only get letters. And I thought, yeah, maybe that's a little bit weird and I won't get into it, but I totally did. I loved the way that you understand the characters when you're reading their letters, which is something very personal, and you don't only get the letters of the 2 main characters, but you get some other letters as well from the daughter and her fiance, and also the brother of the mom. So it's all very round and beautiful, and in the end you get a very satisfying ending, I would say. But as I said, it might not be the most accurate historical book. Sometimes they write letters that are only like 5 lines, and you're like, well, this letter will take weeks to get there and weeks to get a response. You wouldn't just write 5 lines of stuff, I don't know. But other than that, I thought the love and romance aspect was very nice, and I usually don't read romance, so this was a surprise for me, but I liked it a lot. So the last book I wanted to quickly talk about, it's not really worth a mention anymore, but I got this for my birthday, the illustrated Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, and obviously I read it. I mean, I just needed an excuse to read Harry Potter again. So I read this again, and it was probably like my 50th time to read this book, but I've never read it in English before, so that was nice. But I really feel like I don't even feel a difference. Like, the translation is really good, the German translation, so you don't really feel a difference if you read it in English or in German. But yeah, I just really like this book a lot, and I can't wait for the second and the third book, because I actually started Harry Potter with the third book because that was the one that I had as a child. So that has always been my favorite, and I love series, so I can't wait for the third book to come out in this beautiful edition so I can reread it. But yeah, so let me know what you read recently. I would love to hear about that, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!